Hey guys, what's up? Today we are diving deep on the absolute best gear for New World in Season 6. This here is going to be from a more PvE based angle, so this is for your raids, dungeons, worm, open world, and generally just showing off to your friends. Stick around because I'm going to walk you through how to get every single piece, what material you need to craft it, and even give you some pro tips to make the grind a little bit more bearable. So we've got 5 pieces of armor, an amulet, a ring, an earring, and 2 weapons. Each of these pieces works together to give you the perfect balance of defense, offense, and utility. Let's break it down piece by piece. First of all, I'm going to go through the entire armor set, show you what we're looking at, which is this, then talk about some slight alternatives, why we've chosen these, and how you can get your hand on these pieces of armor. So first up, we have the Hoplight Mask. This will have Enchanted Wood, Refreshing, and Health. It is important to have Enchanted Wood on as many pieces as possible. Enchanted Wood is your best protection against everything in New World Aeternum. This will protect you against light and heavy attacks. It also protects you against elemental light and heavy attack. Although it's not the perfect perk to be able to protect you from everything, it will give you the widest range of protection. Now Refreshing, you need 4 Refreshing. This here reduces your max cooldowns. If you could have more you would, but it is capped at 4, so we'll have 4 Refreshing. Next up, you can fill this with either health or a weapon perk depending on your build. In Season 6 there isn't that many perks that we're going to be looking for to put on our armor. It is going to take a very long time and be very expensive to get our armor pieces, so we want them to be as versatile as possible. And next up we have the Silken Cocoon. This one here comes from the Worm Raid and drops at 710, which is upgradable, which we will go over soon. But this is an exciting piece as it has Keen on it, which is usually exclusive to weapons, shields. So this here is going to be able to give you a small critical chance, freeing up those valuable weapon perk spots. It also has Shirking Energy, which is usually only on pants. So here we have 2 very unusual perks that are actually going to be super helpful. Now to cover up those 5 digits on the end of your arms, we have the Gorgonite hand covers. Once again, we are looking at our Enchanted Ward, our health. This one here has Leeching Flurry. I think a big thing coming into Season 6 is it is going to take a long time to get these armor pieces. So you really want to try and narrow down your builds and what you want to play moving forward. So whether you try and keep those weapon perk slots more on your artifacts that you're more inclined to be able to switch around, or you just need to be a bit decisive on what builds you're going to be playing in Season 6. Next up we have the Aun The Pants. Now one issue I found when putting these builds together, every single piece of armor coming out in Season 6 for the 725 is Magnify. The only thing that is not Magnify that we found was the Hoplight weapons and the earring that comes from the Worm Raid, which can be upgraded. Due to this, it does kind of limit you to the way you can use your attribute points, as you're pretty much locked in around about 320 to 350 points into Magnify. We'll see when we get to the earring, but we've managed to kind of get around that a little bit. But Aun The Pants allows us to hit 350 in our main stat and 300 in our secondary. If it wasn't for Aun The Pants, we would really be struggling to be able to hit those breakpoints. We have June Epulantulia. I have no idea if I said that correctly, but these boots also come from the Worm Raid. And look at that, they have Enchanted Ward and Elemental Aversion. It's not very often that you need Elemental Aversion, but it is nice to have the most protection that you can. So because we are missing that Enchanted Ward on the Aun The Pants, it's actually quite nice. We've got 4 Enchanted Ward, 2 Elemental Aversion. Once again, stacking up that Refreshing. With having the Refreshing also on our earring, that is our 4 stacks right there. Let's move on to the earring and have a quick talk about that, So like we were talking about before, everything coming out in Season 6 is Magnify, which is really going to limit your attribute possibilities. So with using the earring from the Worm Raid, it rolls a random stat perk. Now I don't know if you can choose that or not when you upgrade it. This is going to be one of the easiest ways to get the stat distribution that you want. We have the Gorgonite Amulet, which is a crafted amulet. You're pretty much always going to be looking at health, empowered, and some sort of protection. So you want your slash, strike, rust, nature, ice, void. There's going to be a lot of amulets that you're going to end up crafting, so this may end up being one of the last ones you do. You may want to look at doing a slash early on, maybe putting fire protection and upgrading ink, and then once you've got the rest of your armor sorted, then you might start looking at upgrading your amulets from there. For your ring, you basically have 4 options. You have Elemental Band, you have Blood Drinker, you have the Hoplite Ring, and you can craft a Gorgonite Ring. My recommendation for most builds will be to do an Elemental Band, as it's very easy to take an offhand like a Fire Staff, Ice Gauntlet, and then just put a different gem in there. I'm not 100% sure yet, but if the Rune Glass gems work, you'll be able to get 3 elements stacking up with that, which will get you 12% in power. For tanking, I almost always recommend Blood Drinker. It's just one of the best rings out there. Just being able to self-sustain is invaluable. So when it comes to your weapons, you're always going to be looking at an artifact, and then either a Gorgonite or a Hoplite weapon. Once again, we have the same issue of having too much Magnify here. So that's where the Gorgonite and the Hoplite, either offhand or main hand, comes into account, as that can just help us get just those few more points into another attribute to try and get those splits where we need them. Alright, so as you can see, I've laid out a few types of gear. We've got the Hoplite gear, the Gorgonite, and those shiny Worm Raid items. First up, the Hoplite. Now this gear is purely RNG. You get it from the bosses in the new raid. Of course, no guarantees on getting what you want. So if luck isn't on your side with the Hoplite drops, that is where the Gorgonite gear comes in. Gorgonite gear. Now this bad boy can be crafted using some of the familiar materials like prismatic leather, cloth, ingot, armor matrices, and prismatic scarabs. But wait, there's something new here. Gorgon essence. You'll need a couple of key materials from the raid to make these. You need the Gorgon's Eye, the Gorgonite Inductor, each of which are locked to 1 per week. You won't be speeding through this process. Yep, that's why everyone says the raid is a weekly grind. It limits how fast you can gear up. At the end, we're going to tally up all the materials, showing you exactly how long it's going to take to get your best gear. Now we know the Gorgonite Inductor drops from a cache at the end of the raid. As for the Gorgon's Eye, it seems like it can drop from any of the 3 raid bosses, but I am still unsure if that is a weekly limit or if it's just RNG from the bosses. Now onto the worm gear. You've got your Silken Cocoon, the Earring of Shashin, and wait for it, the Dune Boots, or as I like to call them, the Ulpelungimbin Boots. These are unique and relatively easy to get, either through drops by doing the Sandworm, or you can craft them with the Sandworm materia. But there is a catch. Just like the Gorgonite stuff, these also need to be upgraded to 725. You'll need armor matrices, dark matter, gypsum orbs, chromatic seals, and of course, Gorgonite eyes. Last but not least, the artifact upgrades. You'll need matrices, dark matter, gypsum orbs, chromatic seals, and for the final burst, you can either use your Gorgonite Inductor, or you can use the Gold Cursed Coconut. It comes from the PvP island. Yep, farming those coconuts is going to save you time. The fact that you usually have 3 artifacts within a build means that if you use your coconuts for those 3 crafts, it's going to cut down the time when you're getting your best gear by 3 weeks. Having a look through the material list. Now this here is working off crafting 4 pieces of armor, with having 3 pieces from the Worm Raid and 3 artifacts. And when it comes to your prismatic materials, we're just going to lump these all together as they're usually around a similar cost anyway. And you're looking at around 900 prismatic materials. Now with an average cost of about 220 gold each, you're going to be looking at about 200,000 gold in prismatic materials alone. Now on top of that, you're going to be looking at 4 prismatic scarabs, 12 chromatic seals, 12 matrices, 2,700 dark matter, 10 Gorgon eyes, and 7 Gorgon inductors. Now if you're smart and you're getting your golden coconuts along the way, that brings those Gorgon inductors down to 4. As you can use those other 3 coconuts on your artifacts. So there you have it, some ways to get your hands on the best gear, a look at the materials and how long it's going to take. With this build here getting you through 90% of all builds, there is a few things you can switch out, like if you're healing, you might want to take the headpiece from the worm, as this comes with Savior. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out. If you've got any questions or you want to share your own gear setups, hit me up in the comments below. I do love hearing from all of you, and I try to get back to every single comment. Until next time, keep adventuring, and I'll see you in Aeternum.